Are you ready? Can crush us. It don't really get no better than this the podcast that you're looking for if you're really heavy into wrestling. Hosted by the Mark. Energy that's so amazing. Gotta keep it entertaining. Rep the Can Crusher Nation. Yeah, you know what's going down in the ring. Lights out when you hit a ding ding. Knock 'em out like boom bada bing. Hold it down, you can crown me the king. Got a shout out to the Miz and Duke the Dumpster. We choke slamming everybody. Power driving, hit 'em with a face buster. Yeah, this the show you need and it ain't no need for waiting. Mark, hold it down for the Can Crusher Nation. All about wrestling and keep it entertaining. Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast. Time to break 'em, let's go. Yeah. Can Crushers. Yeah. Can Crushers. Let's go.
Hey, this is JAC, and crack you up a cold one. Sit down on your couch and listen to Can Crushers right now.
I think JAC needs acknowledged over that. That's a presence bringing us into our Can Crushers Wrestling Spotlight. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another Can Crushers podcast. I am your host, Mark the Mark Martinez, and as I said, it's a Spotlight episode, and I am uberly happy to be having my guest on this week. Another Pittsburgh area girl to be talking about her first match, her first journey into professional wrestling. I want to know how she found this crazy sport, what kind of stuff she did prior and all that. I'm speaking of none other than Slammin Sammy. Man, I love that name. So many things that I can think about. I have to make sure I ask her. Is she a baseball fan? Because slamming, I always think of like slamming home runs or just beating somebody in a back alley. That's a different talk, a different podcast that you guys can go down, whatever. But you understand that. Or slamming like a power slam, a body slam, so on and so forth. It's going to be a train wreck. My mind is all over the place, so I'm apologizing now to Sammy. I know she's on the line waiting to come on the show, but I'm going to apologize now because it's going to be ups and downs, ins and outs. It's going to be crazy. So much I want to talk about with Slammin Sammy. She just had her first match, so of course we have to talk about that. But of course, we have to pay the bills. I know you guys hate this part, but we have to. Contractually, we have to do this. Collar and Elbow, hats, hoodies, and tees, all the cool things that Al Snow and the Hooligans have down at Collar and Elbow. Go and buy everything you possibly can. You've heard me for years now telling you how much I love Collar and Elbow apparel. From the hoodies to the shirts to the joggers, everything. I have it all. It's amazing apparel. It just doesn't go bad. You know, you watch some stuff, and it just shrinks and all that. Collar and Elbow doesn't do that. In amazing designs from Dusty to Macho Man to, Remembrance ones and all of that. When you check out a Collar and Elbow, use our promo code. It's Can Crushers. All one word, capital C and Can, capital C and Crushers, and you will save yourself 10% off the entire order. You won't be disappointed, fans. You really won't be disappointed. Don't forget, if you want any of the new stuff that WWEshop.com has, we have an affiliate code, and we're very transparent on here. Sometimes you get a discount, sometimes you don't. We don't know what items are discountable with our code, but you will help support us. That's in the show notes. Don't forget that we also have merch for Can Crushers as well. Head over to CrowdMade, type in Can Crushers, and check out our hoodies, shirts, and tank tops as well there. Guys, you heard me over the last couple weeks, months, whatever it is now, talking about Dubby. This is the energy drink for the average garbage man, the gamers, the whatever. I'm trying to get carbonation out of my life, essentially, okay, in everything, besides the weekend carbonation that I enjoy. But day-to-day carbonation, just too much. So I use Dubby now as my energy drink. No calories, no carbonation, no craziness. It just really is. 2 scoops in the morning in my shaker cup. Shake it up, drink it. From 4 o'clock in the morning when I take it until about 11 o'clock at night, I am good to go. It keeps me rocking and rolling. There's no crash at like 9 a.m., noon, or anything like that. It just gives you enough energy throughout the day Tons of different flavors out there. As I said, my go-to is Beach and Peach. I love everything peach. But there's a sample pack out there, guys, if you want to try it. It's about $20, and you can get a 10% discount off of anything from Dubby from using our promo code. And, of course, it's Can Crushers. So make sure you check them out if you're looking for something to get away from that canned drink, those carbonations that leave you bloated and all that. Dubby does not do that. My testimonial each and every week on that. Don't forget, you can listen to us anywhere the podcasts are. iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Boxcast. The list goes on and on and on. We're on IMDb. The audio version of this is also on YouTube, so go like, subscribe, share, do all that cool stuff on YouTube as well. Join that page. Let's make that big and fantastic as the podcast is. But yeah, guys, do everything. Join the Can Crusher Nation and join the conversation and help us support indie wrestlers, because this is what the Spotlight's about. We love spotlighting independent wrestlers to find out the who, the why, the what, why they got into wrestling, why they love it so much, throw in some silly questions. And yeah, don't forget our socials as well, Facebook, Instagram, X. Listen, we do stuff on Threads, but it's a cesspool. But it's out there. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back, and Slammin Sammy is right around the corner.
Hey, all you stupid Regents math breeders out there. This is Amanda. I'm Elijah Dean, and you are listening to Can Crushers Podcast.
Welcome back to Can Crushers, guys. You heard how excited I was to have my guest on. She is taking Rise, Pittsburgh, and essentially the Indies over after just one match. She's getting lots of love. Make sure she's on your radar. It's none other than Slammin Sammy. Slammin, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Awesome. Listen, you have to still be living the high off of your first match, right?
Yes, I am.
What did it feel like, before we get into how you loved wrestling and everything, because I haven't spoken to anybody after a first match this quick in a long time. So give me all the feels. What were you doing that morning? Everything.
It honestly felt so amazing. I remember the morning I woke up, I had nerves, like good nerves, but it was just a super exciting morning. I mean, I had the adrenaline spike kick in from the beginning of the morning, obviously, to the end of the night. And it was such an exciting feeling being out there in front of the crowd and experiencing that energy that the crowd left off. So it was a very good night, and I just loved it. It was everything that I dreamed it would be.
Did you get any butterflies like 2 minutes prior to match? Because we know those curtains do magical things when we come out of them, but did you have a little bit like, oh my God, this is really happening?
Yeah, I did. Just before I went out the curtain.
Yep. It always happens, but then that curtain, you forget that you're alive, right?
Yeah, that you do.
So I did notice you had to take a picture with Bradley. How was that after your first match? Because Bradley's Bradley, right?
Yeah, it was good, honestly. Bradley has, been nice to me, I think, throughout my whole journey through wrestling. Ever since the beginning, he was supporting me, so he's a great guy.
He really is a great guy. He listens, and I throw him under the bus as much as I can. So that's the best thing about it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do the rewind, essentially. Like, who introduced you to wrestling? Mom, Dad, Aunt Sally, Uncle Joe? How did you find this crazy sport?
So my dad was a really big fan of wrestling. Even before my parents had me, they were dating and stuff. Like, my dad was the biggest wrestling fan. He loved WWE very much. Like when he was dating my mom, he had like the Stone Cold merch on, the Stone Cold hat, the Stone Cold shirt. And he he loved it very much, and all this stuff. He actually went to go see Undertaker and Mankind in Pittsburgh at that Hell in the Cell match. So that's very interesting to find out. And when I was about 3 years old, my dad put it on for me, and we would like imitate wrestling moves on the couch. We'd have fun. Yeah.
Nice. So me and your dad share a moment together because I was up in the nosebleed sections of that as well. That was probably my favorite card of all time. Unbelievable to see mankind go through that. So yeah.
Yeah. It's an awesome thing.
So dad was beating the hell out of you as you were a child, essentially, is what we're saying, right? Child abuse.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Uh,
You can hold that over on his head the rest of your life. But that's a great story. It really is. That's a way I connected with my grandfather, kind of doing like the same thing. He would show me like the old Ric Flair matches and Dusty matches as I was younger. So
yeah.
who did you love then? And I know the answer to this question, and everybody that follows you on Facebook knows the answer to this question, but anybody listening to the podcast, who did you love growing up?
Honestly, the first thing that I loved growing up was obviously the group The Shield. I mean, they were a big impact in my life. I especially loved Seth Rollins as I kept as I kept growing up. I enjoyed watching both Seth Rollins and The Shield throughout my life. There was just something about The Shield and Seth Rollins that kept me hooked and kept me on edge. They were Seth Rollins is a very good wrestler in my opinion, and I obviously loved him to death. And The Shield made such an impact on wrestling history. You know, it's hard to forget about them.
Oh, without a doubt. It's still, even though they broke up so long ago, it made an impact this past WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, they did.
Who else besides the Shield? Was there anybody else that you kind of transitioned to, Becky or anybody like that?
There wasn't really too much of them, but I did have my other favorites like Kane at the time period and all that stuff.
Okay. Mostly the Shield, though. Mostly the Shield.
Yeah, mostly the Shield.
Okay, so we know you're young in the professional wrestling business, but what have you done? Because I transition everything on the podcast that you're preparing for wrestling. From the first match you and Dad did until growing up and going to where you train, and I'll give you props on that, especially because LaRusso will come through and punch me through the face if I don't. How did you train yourself to get to professional wrestling with other sports, essentially? What were you in, essentially?
Well, a long time ago, I played like other sports when I was like younger, but I would say like the main sport for me at the time was karate. I did karate for like 7 years, and I did jiu-jitsu for about 2.5 years. Both were very beneficial to me in the long run. I feel that karate gave me the confidence that I need to get to this point now where I am in life. And it was a great experience, a great chapter in my life, I would say. It taught me everything that I needed to know and all that, yeah.
So when was that, I'm going to get ready to relate all that there. So when was that aha moment then that you're like, I'm doing this? You know, I've been through karate and the martial arts and everything. I know I can take over professional wrestling. When was that moment that said, yes, I'm going?
Honestly, the moment happened like very, very vividly. I remember I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I just came flat out and told my parents. I really had no nerves or thoughts about it. I just came out and told them, hey, I want to do this. I want to be a pro wrestler. So yeah, my mom thought that it was a great thing. She didn't expect it to happen, but she has supported me over the years, and she's proud of me. And my dad has thought it was awesome, and he still thinks it's awesome to this day. So.
Oh, without a doubt. You know, mom's probably your number one merch maker. Dad still wants to train with you in the ring, so I completely see this, right?
Yeah.
So how do you go about, and this is where I definitely want you to give you props to where you're going to train and everything. How do you go about and find your training school?
So whenever I found my training school, I like to say that I was at the end of my martial arts life, and I didn't want to pull in to go get the black belt. because that was the only rank that I didn't get coming out of martial arts and stuff. But I didn't want to go that. So at the training center I went to, they one night had like an open house or like a seminar type of deal. So I went there, and I was about like 15 years old. So I was like a sophomore in high school at the time, while getting started with all this. So I went to the the open house or whatever. I did the open house. We went through like a trial then type of deal after that. And one of the things that my instructor asked me, he's like, do you love pro wrestling? And I'm like, yes, obviously I love pro wrestling. That's with no shadow of doubt. I could sit here and talk about it forever if I could. But yeah, that's how that all got started. And he took me into at 15 years old, which my instructor normally doesn't
Right, you're in PA. Everybody knows that
yes.
You're in PA. There's rules and regulations in PA that you can train, but you can't physically be on a show until the time period, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 15 at the time that he brought me in. He didn't have to, and we were looking at all the other options at the table, like let's let her start at 16 or let's let her start at this age. But then my instructor, by the way, Brandon K, if anyone is unfamiliar with who that is, one of the best trainers in the era, I would say. He's been nothing but great to me throughout this whole time period. So
yeah, I was giving you props to say it before we get too long done. It's Stronghold, guys. You've heard me talk about it a ton of times. The Stronghold School in and around the Pittsburgh area, has trained numerous stars out of the area. So make sure you go there if you're looking into it. One that we will always say go to, along with the IWC one as well. Both of them amazing in the Pittsburgh area. So, all right, go ahead. Sorry, Sammy.
Yes, you're all right. Yeah, but anyway, he did not have to bring me in at 15, but he just said, you know what, I'll make this exception one time since she really loves it. And from there, we were starting off into something amazing. So,
yeah. So you do that first. It's always a freebie. We know this. You always do that first freebie one to go see if you really want to go through it and everything. You walk in and you're just full of piss and vinegar. You know that you're going to be ready for this. Tell me how you felt when you left, though.
I felt pretty amazing when I left, honestly. I thought it was a great place from the time I walked in there. From the time I walked in there, everybody was, so accepting of me, saying hi to me and all that stuff. And really just so polite to me, and like they were ready to welcome a new person in. So they welcomed me with open arms, and after that I had a feeling like we picked the right place. We picked the place that I could go to and I could do this for. So
it felt like a family right off the bat.
Yeah, it did.
Nice. Have you been to local independents in Pittsburgh before? Have you kind of just, have you heard about Rise or IWC or any place like that? Or were you always just a WWE gal?
So a long time ago, actually, how we discovered Rise Wrestling back at the time was whenever I was about 13 years old, and me and my dad used to go to the Rise Wrestling shows all the time. And at that time they were inside of the Laurel Mall.
Yep.
And it was just full of some of the funnest memories I've ever had. And my dad, I remember, saw like a match card for them initially when he was looking on Facebook, and my dad's like, "Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to go."
Nice. So you knew about it. You knew the amount of amazing people that have been in there, and essentially, I'm sure you ran into Brandon before, and he's a talker. He can sell, and he's amazing.
Yes, he is amazing.
So, all right, that's day one of training, essentially. down the line, because we've trained for a while now, did a doubt ever cross your mind? At one point, it's like, man, I just, year in, 2 years in, that this is just tougher than I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I had that, like, whenever I was 15, I mean, I was just, like, starting off, and especially some days, I feel like down the line that it gets harder as you keep on going to do it, especially with age and experience and everything else. But, like, just, like, starting out within those 2 years in that time period, I've had my fair share of downfalls. There's some nights that I've even cried because of how much it means to me and how much I want the best for it and all that stuff for me.
You can hear the passion in your voice when you just said that. Just to let you know, off script and all that.
Thank you.
You can hear that. That I'm like, man, if there's anybody that has ever been on the show that wanted it, you can just feel it the way that you're coming across right now. So, Sammy, big things for you. Big things for you. So let's talk more in depth about that first match. We had the emotions and everything. How do you feel?
Oh, yeah.
Have you rewatched it already since your first match?
I have seen little clips and stuff of it or whatever. I haven't watched the full match yet. I know my parents recorded it on a GoPro, so it'll be great when we get that footage off of the GoPro and watch it. So
okay, you felt like everyone. Listen, we all bring down the fourth wall a little bit on podcast. You felt like everything went well in the ring, and you and Loveless just brought it.
Yeah, I feel like we both brought it to the table too, and look, Loveless is a great wrestler. I'll give her that. She's been a good veteran in the ring, and sometimes she doesn't, get as much respect as she deserves. So I'll give her some flowers here for that.
Look at you. First match, already giving flowers after taking the L, right? It's all right.
Yeah.
So, all right, this is the big question. Who is Slammin Sammy? And I'm actually going to turn it around to you this time. Normally I say, let me give you 3 people that I think Slammin Sammy is. So young in the business, I want to hear some of your people that you think is going to encompass Sammy, essentially, for moveset, for this, that, and the other. And I know you're going to say, well, myself times 100. Yeah, listen, that's the PC wrestling answer. Give me 3 wrestlers that you've begged, borrowed, or steal some moves from, essentially, that you think is going to encompass who you are.
3 wrestlers, I would say definitely like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's a very good one. I've watched him over the years and stole some stuff off of him. I would say also Becky Lynch because she has that big old underdog character, which is what essentially I have through all my fighting and experiences in life and stuff. So I took a little bit off that, and then I would say maybe Cody Rhodes, because he's just so great with kids, man, and you gotta love that. So
I had Becky. That's why I made reference earlier, because in the same clips that have been online, I have seen just some Becky stuff in you. I don't know what, but I'm like, okay, this is her first match. How the hell do I break down one match that I can't steal anybody else's video from or anything? So I did see some Becky. You are amazing with kids, by far. So yes, you have a story to tell. So Cody as well. And then I went the generic route and I said Seth Rollins because he's your favorite wrestler of all time. So those were my 3. So we're close. I didn't know the whole Stone Cold thing with Dad, or I probably would have thrown it in there. But yeah. All right, so let's take a break from wrestling a little bit and talk some nerd stuff, some random questions that we always throw in here on the podcast, and we'll get back into wrestling. So Sammy doesn't have anything to do wrestling-wise for the night. No training, no matches, no anything. What are some nerd things that you like to do, Sammy?
Nerd things I love to do. I'd say I honestly love to watch pro wrestling all the time. I I really do. I love to watch things like wrestling documentaries and wrestling TV shows and all that stuff. There's always a lot of that out there.
Yeah, there is. There is. Video games, music, anything like that. What's your number one song? Let me force feed some of these to you. What's your number one song out there right now?
For me, I'm not as much as a like video game player. I never have been. I have a Nintendo Switch. I just haven't. I'm just so busy that I don't get around to using it, you know.
Right.
But I would say for music and songs and stuff, I'm a very big 80s music person. Like I'm just really down deep into 80s music. Like anything like Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue. That stuff is great.
Give your dad a big pat on the back right now if he's beside you, because that's dad. Thank you. Exactly. That's where I am with music. Again, without no wrestling, hanging out with friends, this, that, and the other, just kind of the normal a la teenage life, right?
I don't have too many friends outside of pro wrestling, so.
Well, that's good though too sometimes. That really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, I really have no social life. I know it's bad, but it's true.
No, if you continue to go to the gym and stuff, some things can happen that, I don't know, friends get jealous that you're going to kick ass and take names and they're going to sit at Permane Brothers for the next 30 years, right? It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, we have random questions coming up right now. One is from a past guest, and here it is.
Hey, what's up, guys? It is Lunik, the Shadow Assassin here, and I have a question for you. Who is the greatest villain, in your opinion?
Who's the greatest villain? Well, I've seen like a lot of villains in pro wrestling, and especially like in TV shows in general or whatever. If I had to pick anybody who'd be who is like a good villain, whatever, I would say right now in the pro wrestling world, Dominic Mysterio.
Oh yeah.
He is doing so good right now. Like he can like when he holds that microphone up to his lips, he can barely even get a word in. So
Dom is by far so over in the number one right now.
Yeah.
I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Were you a fan? This is horrible. This wasn't even a silly question, but it pops into my head. Were you a fan of Dom when he was like with his dad and he was a goody two shoes?
Yeah, I think during that time period, yeah, I would say that I was a fan for him because he was starting to get his feet wet in the business, but I really don't think yet that he found like his I would say his lick if you will in the wrestling business. I think over time as you've seen, he's had to work hard and have to like step it up a little bit to get him to where he is today.
Yeah. He's so much better as a bastard. He really is.
Yes, he is.
He really is. All right, here comes the random questions. If you could guarantee one thing in life, besides money, of course, what would it be?
If there's one thing that I could guarantee in life, it would be that I always put my best foot forward every time I enter in the wrestling ring. That I'm always gonna be on my best. Even on my worst days ever, I'm gonna do everything I possibly can to be on my best foot.
Okay, I love that answer. I love it. So when you hear Slammin Sammy, all right, listen, this is because I'm 47 and I'm always hungry, okay? So it sounds almost like a sandwich, too. So what would be on the Slammin Sammy sandwich?
I honestly think that the Slammin Sammy sandwich would be like a classic like BLT. because there's nothing that you can do to change the BLT. You can't do anything to change a BLT. A BLT is just all around a good sandwich, and if you add anything to it, then I feel like A, you ruin it or you spoil it. So
That's perfect. That's again perfect. I thought you were gonna go maybe a little, and I know you're not bougie. But I thought maybe you're gonna like, oh, something on a bagel or something, and you just caught me off as a surprise. Damn, I want a BLT right now. So yes, that's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. This one's going to be hard for you, I think. I really think, and I completely set it up. The other two were generated. You know, I use a generator, bring up questions, yada, yada, yada.
right.
This one's fitted for you. We know that you love the Shield. Okay? We
Right.
know that.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 3 active wrestlers across anywhere that would make up the new Shield. And you can't say Roman, John Moxley, or Seth at all. So give me a new
Okay.
Shield.
All right. If we're gonna go for honesty here, if I had to pick anyone for a new Shield, I would say I feel like Adam Cole would be a good one to make for a new Shield, and then honestly, I think Edge too. Edge is good in my opinion. He's very
He's amazing.
he's very great. He's amazing. And then I would say somebody then around the course of like I would say MJF too, because he would be like a great. I feel like he'd be like the good like planner in the equation and everything else. So
Okay, so you gave me those 3. I'm gonna say Edge is Roman. I'm gonna say Dean Ambrose is Adam Cole, and then MJF is gonna be Rollins. Is the main talker of it.
yeah, I was thinking that too.
Nice. All right, awesome. What's the best advice that you've gotten from behind the curtain, from have it be LaRusso or Brandon or another wrestler, somebody that said something that is just going to stick with you your whole wrestling career?
If I had to say like the best advice that I ever got, it would have to be, I would have to actually like 2 pieces of advice that I have gotten from from Chris LaRusso and Brandon both. The one that I got from Chris was actually like right before I started my wrestling debut. Everything, it's like don't think about things so much and just let go in that type of situations in wrestling. And then and then from Brandon, the best advice that I got was be yourself when you go out there. Just be you, unapologetically. Just be you out there. You know.
Yeah. So one of the hard questions is Sammy legit you by 1,000,000 or 100 or whatever wrestling number that we want to fabricate a little bit, but is Sammy really you, or is it kind of an alter ego for you without giving too much of personal life away and everything?
I would say yes. Like that is legit just like how I am, like in general, like how you see my emotions and everything. Like you see I'm aggressive and defiant. That's really like how I am in real life, you know?
Yeah. I get it. I get it. This is the hard question, and it might be no, you've been around wrestling enough. You really have. What would you change in professional wrestling? Because wrestling still has horrible stigmas and this, that, or the other out there. What would you change if you could like wave a magic wand over it and just quickly erase that from wrestling?
If there was like one thing I would change is, especially for indie wrestling, I would say like more respect for like women's wrestling in the indie scene. Because the stuff that I have heard, especially at like 13 years old, when I went to the shows and have sat next to people and they just say the most uncool or not right things about women in wrestling, and it still happens at shows to this day too. So I'd really love to go in there and if there was one thing I would change, it would be that. I'd love to like change. I would love to like change like what people think by giving them something that they can talk about for years and centuries down the road to come.
Sammy, you have our backing 120 million%, because we've been saying that for years. Because, listen, some of the stuff, and I always go back to COVID time, essentially, that, you know, it was, the men were stale. What Becky and Sasha and Asuka and everybody were doing were so amazing, yet they weren't getting their flowers. And I'll say that even in and around our area. If Brandon or Justin Plummer or anybody around here wants to hate on me, they can. But for people like Katie Arquette and Lawless and Danny Moe and throw yourself into it now and Ray Lynn.
Yeah.
You know, those are all freaking names that should have, listen, Pittsburgh itself, indie wrestling itself, it's okay to have a women's match be the main event. Because we don't get that enough. We have two of the greatest independent. I'm going to cover my own tracks. We do have two of the greatest independents in and around America, between Rise and IWC, right inside of Pittsburgh. I will throw that out there. So whatever, but it's okay. You had Britt freaking Baker in Pittsburgh. You have Ray Lynn. You have Katie Arquette. That's amazing. Danny Moe. They're all there. Put on a women's show one time. Put on a women's show one time and let us run with it, because you guys are still disrespected, and I completely agree. And the fans are completely ignorant sometimes.
Yeah, they are.
I'm off my soapbox.
Especially male fans.
Oh, I agree. I'm off my soapbox. Don't hate on me, guys, but you know I've always felt that way. It really has. You're the next generation that's going to take over. And I love that you're ready to take over, Sammy. I really am.
Thank you.
So you talked about wrestling a little bit in general. How much do you watch? Like, will you go back into the 80s and watch? Will you watch just Attitude Era from Dad? Like, what's your span of wrestling?
Gosh. So I watch like everything wrestling. I mean, when I was little, and Peacock now, but back in the time it was WWE Network. I remember asking my dad, I'm like, do you mind if I watch old wrestling? He's like, no, go ahead, knock yourself out. So
nice. Is there anybody from past years, maybe, throw names out, like a Wendy Richter, Trish Stratus, Lita, or anybody that you're like, oh man, someday I want to incorporate some of their stuff into me?
Yeah. Or anyone, or you know what, even better, there's somebody who I remember watching from that time period that I really liked. Her name doesn't get thrown too much around here. Sensational Sherry, honestly. Yes. I loved her because honestly, she'd get in there, she'd get all messy with the guys and stuff, and just hit hard. That's something that I love to see.
Go back if you want to watch some of Sherry's. I know your dad has probably led you down this line. Some of Sherry's greatest stuff was in AWA. Some of it's on Peacock, but you have to do a little searching for it. But she doesn't get enough love. I completely agree. She's actually somebody in the professional wrestling business. It's transcended from like Moolah to where the women are now, and then others have just took that next step.
Yeah. She is great, no doubt. I mean, I remember the first time seeing her, I was just like, wow, finally, there's another woman aggressive, and I don't have to feel like the only one being aggressive. So
you love being aggressive. You've probably said that 4 or 5 times. So you were just ready to get back in the ring and kick ass and take names, right?
Yeah.
What's your all-time favorite storyline?
My all-time favorite storyline. My all-time probably favorite storyline would have to be in 2015, because this was all that I was paying attention to at 8 years old, was the feuds that went on Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. I mean, those were like the best, like that was like the best, like in terms like storyline of my young life. I just remember like being so engaged and like just loving the moments that they were putting on television. So
What's your favorite one right now?
My favorite one would honestly like have to be, I'm gonna say it would have to be like the storyline that has been going on with Cody Rhodes. I mean that within itself has been like amazing, and you could see through like WrestleMania and stuff, they really put all their time and energy into all that to give us like something that was great, something that was wonderful. and you know, and the person to put the belt on, I think, especially at Mania, and if you wouldn't have done it, I think there'd be a riot, would have been Cody.
Well, all right. So you think there was a riot? I'm going to stir the pot. Do you think maybe we could have gotten 6 more months out of this?
I do think we could. We could have. I mean, we could have had that because again, but to me, both men are great. Both Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. So they're just, you know, they've both been great in wrestling from time to time. You know, you hear a lot about like Roman's family and how much his family has infected, and how much Cody Rhodes' whole family has been infected, especially with Dusty Rhodes from back in the day, because I watched Dusty Rhodes stuff too, and he was just, you know, they're all just great, and now they're coming in this generation and kicking some butt, so that's awesome to see too.
Yeah, I agree. I love all of it. I do. So we've been talking about all the great stuff with Slammin Sammy and great moments and everything. Listen, there's got to be a story. There's got to be a story from training or something that you're embarrassed to tell, but we have to pull it out of you. What's your most embarrassing moment right now so far in wrestling?
Gosh, I would say like one of my like most embarrassing moments that I've ever had in wrestling is like, because in our training center, I remember like we'd have a bathroom and stuff, and my embarrassing moments had to be like walking in on somebody in the bathroom. So yeah,
not horrible, but it's still, yeah, it's uneasy.
It's still pretty bad.
Yeah, no, it's uneasy. I get it. I get it. Thank you for stopping right just by saying walking into the bathroom. Besides, you know, hey, we're talking about Calvin Couture all of a sudden, and we don't need any of that, right?
No, we don't.
I love Calvin. I do.
I do. Yeah, me too.
The hard question, I guess, for you: why? Why are you in professional wrestling? Not for the love, not for anything. What is your number one goal, belts aside and wins aside and everything, to be in professional wrestling?
My number one goal in wrestling is to obviously change the landscape of women's wrestling and have them, you know, viewed on the same level as the guys. Not only that, but to be a role model for little girls and other little kids out there, to make a difference and tell them, you know, like that the impossible is not impossible.
Yep. I love it, Sammy. I love what you are going to do and what you started to do. You're making your own movement. You really are. So, but what are your goals for 2024 within professional wrestling now? Like, what do you want to check off this little bucket list? And listen, I know you want to be WWE, you want to be AEW, you want to be TNA, but listen, Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so what's your major bucket list within professional wrestling for 2024?
My goals are honestly I would say very small growth, keep getting better, just like in the ring and every day on a daily basis in a great level, and just to keep going and to keep improving as time passes on.
Those are perfect goals, because you know that, you know, get your feet wet in Rise and take over Rise, and then slide over maybe
Yeah.
to another federation or something, and just don't overstep your boundaries. And I think you know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
But just continue to improve to get there. And that's a great
Right.
way of putting it. It really is. I forgot
to keep working hard.
Yeah, keep working hard. I forgot to ask this when we were talking about training. What was the toughest thing for you to get in training? Was it, the physicality essentially was there with all your martial arts background. Was it the running of the ropes? Was it the psychology part? What was your toughest thing to grasp onto?
I would have to say like the toughest thing for me to get would obviously have to be like my character in wrestling. Like I had to work so hard at that just to get that over the years, and to climb that mountain so hard to reach that point where I can have a good character inside and outside the ring.
Yeah. That is the toughest part sometimes, because listen, we can understand just from this podcast, you can talk, you can sell on the mic, so you're good there. You have the movement in the ring. Character development is one of the toughest things in professional wrestling. What you want to do on a nightly basis. Do you want to come out as a clown and you have to live your life as a clown? And I'm not saying,
right,
or do you want to be a Viking or this or that, where you're just a badass that
right.
loves beating people up. You're the bully's bully, but in a good way, right?
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah. We're not condoning bullying or anything, but you're there to be the not the anti-hero. You're not Taylor Swift. Who am I trying to think of? But you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay. What is your dream match? Listen, we just talked about match number 1, but we're going to fast forward everything when you've been in the business for decades. Who is the one person you want to have a match with? But where do you want it, and what stipulation do you want with it?
I would say for like a dream match, the place that I would want to have it would be Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
Obviously. That is like the most famous arena in wrestling history. So it would be very great to go out there and just hear all them more than millions of people out there just cheering for you and all that stuff. And the person that I do with, if I had to go with a male, I would say The Miz. Honestly.
Really? Wow, that caught me off guard. We haven't spoken about The Miz at all. Why The Miz?
I would say The Miz. His mic skills are very good, especially being a heel, and he's worked so hard to get to where he is, and I respect that, and he really made his own path. And some people, just like they've done to me, I have laughed at him for it, but now look where he is.
He still doesn't get enough love that he deserves.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. Do you want a special stipulation in the match, or just a normal one-on-one?
Yeah, I would say for like a stipulation, because I see these a lot. They're not too much brought out anymore. I would say a strap match.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
I would say a strap match, because that I would love to be like the first woman involved in a strap match, because I just would like to have us attached to a strap, and then being able for us to hit each other with. That would be fun. Did
Dad show you a lot of like Dusty Bull Rope matches back in the day or something? Because that's kind of stuck in your head.
Probably. And if I had to pick for a female for this match, and obviously we were just talking about her, I'd pick Sensational Sherry.
Okay.
Because two aggressive women with a strap, that would be a show to watch.
That's unbelievable. I love your history, your knowledge of professional wrestling, and so on. And to want to make history is awesome. Sammy, did I forget to bring up anything? Is there anything you want to announce? You want to tell us anything before you give your socials and all that stuff?
Yeah. I'd like to say, I have like a lot of things about me that make me me. Like we talked about, me watching wrestling. Like the movies that I've seen in wrestling and stuff that I've seen in like non-wrestling are things that like I've watched The Iron Claw. That's a good movie. Fighting with My Family, the one with Paige. And I'm also a very like down to earth like I probably get this from my mother. Oh my. I'm a very like good person with like chick flicks. I love like a good like romance
Okay.
romance movie. just like, and I'm just naming a few off the top of my head. I know things like Dirty Dancing, The Devil Wears Prada. That's a good one. And a bunch of other 80s movies too, like The Breakfast Club.
That's a classic. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I love John Bender. He's a great character in that movie. Just awesome.
He really
And
is.
Legally Blonde, yeah. And Legally Blonde, they have a strong character. I've seen the Elvis movie, Top Gun Maverick, and I've watched The Dirt by Motley Crue too. So
How did you like? Did you like that?
I thought it was a great movie, learning about how they got all started up and stuff.
Okay, it was interesting. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen like other, I've watched other TV shows like Cobra Kai, Law and Order SVU. Even though that one's weird, it's a good one to watch. And I still watch my fair share of Raw and SmackDown, AEW, them special things on A&E, and the NFL, and the NFL quarterback season, and Bridgerton. That's a good one right there. And I've seen the wrestler series too, the OVW one. That's
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great how they put that together.
I think you and Hollywood would have a great match. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and I also like to say that I have my way about myself, that I'm a little bit of a girly girl and tomboy both, because I love things that I have. I love wearing makeup, jewelry, like bath and body fragrance and stuff. I really like dressing up in feminine clothes, and like fancy suits, skirts, dress pants, anything that you could ever believe in that. I mean, I love dressing up nice in general, because I always have my parents, when growing up, I always see like just how nice they would dress and put themselves together. Like my dad wears suits, and my mom just like dresses up so wonderful. And an appearance means a lot, especially when you're out there. So I've had that influence on me to know how to dress good and know how to look good. So it's a good thing in itself.
Yeah. If you want to give a message to the kids, there's kids listening to this podcast, and they come up to you at a wrestling show and say, "Hey, Sammy, you are now my Seth Rollins. You are now my Becky Lynch." Or you're going to get that. What do you tell those kids that want to get into the wrestling business?
I would tell them, don't let people get to you. Don't let people doubt. Don't let the doubts creep in on you. Don't have second thoughts. Believe in yourself. Believe in who you are, and you can do anything you want to.
Yeah, that's a great message. That's a great message within the wrestling business or anything else, just in life, essentially.
Right.
All right, Sammy, give everybody your socials. Do you have any merch yet? And where are you going to be here in the next couple months?
All right. So where I'll be in the next couple months, honestly, wherever the Lord wants me to be. This is my path, and He is in control. So.
Amen.
So yeah. Yep. Amen to that. But for social media, you can find me on Slammin Sammy on Facebook, and that's and for Slammin, it's SLAMMIN, and Sammy SAMMY. And then on Instagram, you can find me Slammin Sammy Official. SLAMMIN Sammy Official. And then Twitter, I just got the account made for that. you can find me at Slammin Sammy, and and I also have a TikTok too. You can follow me there at Slammin Sammy 101.
There you go. Any merch yet that we're gonna start making?
We have merch. We will be releasing it soon, probably at the next Rise Wrestling show. So yeah.
Okay. And if there's somebody in like California now that says, "Oh my God, I'm going to follow Sammy," would you be up to shipping or anything like that? Because sometimes we get questions back saying, "Hey, you talked to so and so. Will they ship to me?" I don't know. Why don't you reach out to them? I usually say. But to answer that question, would you ship to anybody?
Yes, I would be down. I would be down for anything, especially shipping somebody merch. That'd be great.
Awesome. 8x10s included soon.
Yep, there will be all that. There will be all that in there. I'll have shirts out. I'll have bracelets out. I'll have just a bunch of merch out. So,
Sammy, this is podcast number 1, probably. Yes, that you've been on.
Yes, this is.
All right. You are welcome back on here. In fact, I want to strong arm you to come on every so often to talk about your journey within professional wrestling, what you've done in the next 6 months to a year or whatever. You're always open. You have my number. Let's continue this journey. But I wish you the best because, as I said earlier in the podcast, you can hear your passion, your love, your desire to do amazing things for the kids, for yourself, and professional wrestling. So, Sammy, kick ass and take names.
I will keep doing that. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's Gina Marie, and you're listening to the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
Can Crusher Nation, how about that interview with Slammin Sammy? And I want to go right back to the point that I made a couple times during the interview that you can hear the emotion, you can hear the passion in everything that she wants to do in professional wrestling, from making a difference to me getting on my soapbox and, calling out wrestling in general still about women's matches and women being on the card so much more in and around our area and just globally as well. So, man, she is going to have an amazing future in the business. And I love how she agreed with me. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's going to take the baby steps of getting comfortable, getting to the next step, getting titles, and then getting those dark matches, and then getting stuff for WWE. And it's just, she understands it all. She really does. And I love the passion that she has. And to Dad, if Dad's listening to this, way to go. I love that you slid some 80s music in there as well and just showed Sammy the love of professional wrestling. And, man, she's really taken a grip onto the Shield. She's never going to let the Shield go. I freaking believe that 100%. She's never going to leave the Shield go. Guys, make sure you follow Sammy. Sammy is going to be somebody I believe, going to come on every so often. We have to talk about her journey. Legitimately, this recording happened days after her first match. Okay? She's had one match in the business. She's been in it for so long because of training in Pennsylvania rules, and we're going to pull the fourth wall down and all of that. But one match. What's next for Sammy? Where does she go? What else goes on? This is a journey I'm excited to watch. This is a journey I'm excited to have Sammy back every so often to tell us what's going on, how she's kicking ass and taking names. And, man, I can't wait to see her at Rise. I can't wait to see her everywhere as she continues to progress all over Pennsylvania, making a name for herself and just kicking ass. Guys, this was a great interview. This is a humble human being that is going to make a hell of a difference in professional wrestling. Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know.